Welcome back to the Conquest of Abyssinia series. In this video, we'll be relaying the battle stories of Shembere by the chronicler Shihab. The king of Abyssinia, Sagad, with his army and soldiers, set out from Baddeke in pursuit of the Muslims. The soldiers accompanying him being so numerous that they covered the land far and wide. They arrived within the vicinity of the Muslims and passed the night there. The next day, the Abyssinians set out their vanguard to discover news of the Muslims. They spied on the Muslims, and the Muslims likewise spied on them. And on the third day, the Muslims set out to return to their own country. Around noontime, they arrived at the river Maju. They then dismounted from their horses, watered them, and performed their midday prayer, and passed the night on the heights of Shembere. This was the evening of Wednesday, at the onset of the 7th month of the year 935 Hijri, since the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's migration from Mecca to Medina. The Muslims spent the night recalling Allah, praising Him, extolling Him, worshipping Him. The Imam Ahmad rose up in the midst of his companions and praised Allah, speaking in the most laudatory terms of Him, and prayed for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He, Imam Ibrahim, said to his men, "You are people of fortitude and of power." He ordered them to be alert and to prepare themselves for battle. Then he continued, "O people, entrust yourselves to Allah and seek refuge in Allah." The Muslim knights got ready their military equipment, each exhorting the other. In the meantime, the Imam asked his companions, "What's your opinion on this matter?" The companions talked amongst themselves, then replied, "As for us, fighting is the object of our desire and of our hopes, and we will never cease holding our own against them, despite sword blows and spear thrusts and death itself, until Allah judges between us, for He is the best of judges." The Imam was gladdened by their response and replied, "May Allah grant you success and show you the right path. Now prepare your weapons for war and for battle." They passed the night and rejoicing on the account of jihad. When day broke the next day and dawn appeared, dazzling bright, the mu'adhin approached and proclaimed, "Come to the means of attaining paradise." The Muslims rose, recited the morning prayer, and in their midst a preacher stood up, Sa'idi al-Faqih Abu Bakr, also known as Arsuna. May Allah have mercy upon him. He inspired the Muslims with his speech, preached the good news of paradise and how Allah has promised this to His mujahideen, and cautioned them about hellfire, which Allah has promised to those who run away. And he said, "O you who believe, be patient, excel in patience and remain steadfast, that you may be successful." Upon hearing this, the Muslims set out in the direction of Amaja, going down towards their country through the center of Shembere in the easterly direction from the star Canopus. The king of Abyssinia had changed his direction, coming up against the Muslims from the direction of the Qibla, from the eastern side of Abyssinia. With him was an army like a plague of locusts. He said to his patricians, "Seize them, let no one escape." The chronicler goes on to say, "The king decamped with his army and his weaponry like water gushing forth. The enemy of Allah imagined that he would achieve what he hoped for, but Allah saw to it that he received nothing but ignominy." Both the Muslims and Abyssinians' rearguards caught sight of each other. The Abyssinians set themselves in order, organizing their army and their soldiers into 7 battle lines. No line could see its most outer point. The Muslims likewise drew up their battle lines and organized their soldiers. The chronicler informs, "My informant is one of the Christian Azmak, Haybi by name, who took part in the battle of Shembere with the king. After his conversion to Islam, he recounted to me as follows. The number of the king's cavalry that took part in the engagement of Shimberekore was 16,000 knights, each of whom had a mount from the Arabian sea coast. The foot soldiers, more than 200,000 of them, these carried shields and bows. This is to say, they were archers with poisoned arrows, and they carried glistening spears. And as for the Abyssinian cavalry, their forces were so vast so it was uncountable. They blended with one another like a well-compacted construction, with no spaces left between various parts. At this, the Imam, may Allah have mercy upon him, applied himself to arranging his forces, to the right, to the left, to the middle, and on both flanks. He said, "O Allah, make us all patient and victorious for your religion." The Imam summoned the Sultan Muhammad, son of the Sultan Ali, and the Sheikh Ans, son of the Sheikh Shihab bin Abdul Wahhab, and put under their command all of the tribes of the Harla. As for instance, the tribe of Zamanbara, the tribe of Barzara with their chieftain, the tribe of Yaqula, the tribe of Jasar, the tribe of Arab Tikka, and the tribe of al-Qala. All of these tribes belong to the Harla. The Imam commanded them to hold the Muslims' right flank. Then he assembled the Somali tribes, the tribe of Girri, the tribe of Marayhan, the tribe of Yiberri with the chieftain Ahmed Girri, the tribe of Harti, people of Mait, the tribe of Jaran, the tribe of Mazar, and the tribe of Barsub. All of these were Somalis, and they were ordered by the Imam Ahmad to hold the left flank of the Muslims. Each tribe within the Somali ranks had its own emir. In the center was Imam Ahmad bin Ibrahim, with the cavalry surrounding him like ferocious lions. The leader of the knights were Amir Hussein bin Abu Bakr al-Gatturi, the Amir Zaharbawi Muhammad, which was the Imam's cousin, Faharsam Ali, the Wazir Nur bin Ibrahim, the Amir Mujahid, Faharsam al-Sultan, Abd al-Nasir, the Sheikh Dawa, and the Amir Abu Bakr Qattin, and Faharsam Din. The Imam Ahmad addressed the Muslim forces.
Now I say to you what was said by the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him salvation, to his companions. Rise up to the garden of paradise, which is as extensive as the earth and the heavens. It is prepared for Allah-fearers, for those who believe in Allah and His prophets. This is a grace that Allah bestows on those who please Him, and Allah is the Lord of all-powerful grace.
Then the Imam Ahmad, may the Most High God show mercy upon him, assembled some courageous infantrymen, well known for endurance, from amongst those who had participated with him in battles and expeditions, in war and in fighting. 500 heroes who never abandoned the Imam Ahmad, whether he was present or absent on journey. The Imam ranged them before the cavalry. Among the leaders of the infantry was Hamza al-Jufi, who died a martyr this day. May the Most High God show mercy upon him. That day the cavalry of the Imam numbered 560 with 12,000 infantrymen. The chronicler continues, on the left was the Somali tribe of Harti from the people of Mait, a people not given to yielding. There were 300 of them, famous among the infantry as solid swordsmen. In the same way there was the tribe of Yiberri, around 400 infantrymen, archers. So the Imam attached them to 500 who held the center, saying to them, hold your positions, don't budge, any one of you. The tribe of Girri were all horsemen, renowned as riders. The Imam arranged his battle formation, and each group of the Muslims prayed the twofold prostrations after twofold prostrations on the account of the great things that had befallen them. Hamza al-Jufi, when he saw the infidels, he could not have restrained himself from doing battle had it not been for two of the Muslim foot soldiers who held on to him. He became so excited as a camel in heat, craving for battle and for the jihad in the sake of Allah, that He might grant him his heart's desire. The whole tribe of Harti was like him. The Muslims had to hold them back, saying to them, be patient until the infidels get closer to you. The chronicler goes on, as for the infidels, when they had drawn up their army, they advanced against the Muslims in 7 battle lines. The king of Abyssinia, Wanad Sagad, was this day in the rear guard. On each of his flanks he had to the right 400 men, and to the left 400. On this day, he split all of them up amongst his army. He brought out his treasures, weapons of war, suits of mail, helmets of the king Sabur, Egyptian swords and spears of Kat, and then distributed them to his patricians and his soldiers. As for his cavalry, it was beyond counting. The armies drew near and the advance commenced. Each of the infidel lines was 5 times bigger than that of the Muslims, who were like a white birthmark on the hide of a black bull. Then the Imam Ahmad addressed the Muslims.
Remember Allah the Most High. Don't look at them, look at the ground. Have recourse to Allah against them. Be patient, Allah will be with you. Strive for victory and Allah will be your protector and your supporter.
As the infidels drew nearer to the Muslims, there was a cloud above them that shaded them, while the Muslims were exposed to the full heat of the sun. The Imam Ahmad immediately humbled himself and prayed. In this prayer he said,
O Allah, O Living One, O Eternal One, O Creator of the heavens and the earth, O Glorious and Gracious One, these are your enemies. They are the enemies of your Prophet and of your messengers. They eat the nourishment, but they adore something other than you. Yet you give them shade, and we Muslims are in the full heat of the sun.
The Imam had hardly finished uttering his prayer when the cloud moved from above the heads of the infidels to above the heads of the Muslims, shading them from on top. The king of Abyssinia and his hosts looked towards the Muslims to see their state of mobilization, but the cloud was shading them and their serried ranks and their spears on the ready. Fright and regret came over the Abyssinians. Then the Quranic teacher Abu Bakr, also known as Arshuta, arose and preached near the banner of the Imam. He goaded the Muslims on into battle. He goaded them until their hearts were filled with dread and their eyes brimmed full of tears. He said, O band of Muslims, paradise is beautifully ornamented and hellfire is shut tight. The angels are gazing down. The Houris with black eyes are preening themselves. Rejoice at the prospect of eternal life. Then he recited, Surely Allah has brought from the believers their persons and their property in order to give paradise to them. They fight in the way of Allah. They slay and are slain by virtue of a promise which is binding on him in the Torah and the Gospels and the Quran. Who is more faithful to his promises than Allah? Rejoice then in the bargain that you have made with him, for that is a mighty triumph. Thereupon the Muslims said to the Imam Ahmad, May Allah have mercy upon him,
Let us attack them.
But the Imam held them back from fighting. He said,
Maintain your positions. Don't begin to fight them until they have begun to fight you. Hold your spears on the ready. Cover yourselves with your shields made of hide, and don't make a move with your feet without keeping Allah in mind.
As the Muslims moved from their position to do battle with their enemies, the Imam was saying to them,
O people of Islam, steadfastness means resolution. Faint-heartedness means failure. Be sure of this. Those who persevere are those who will vanquish. Faint-heartedness and cowardice are the twin causes of disappointment. Allah will see that whoever is constant triumphs over his enemy, for Allah is with him. Whoever holds his ground against the cutting edge of a sword, he is the achiever of the future and will never again suffer fatigue. If he walks with Allah, his efforts acknowledged, for Allah loves those who persevere.
The chronicler goes on, When the ranks moved forward, the Muslims could see a huge army, its sword blades sparkling. The enemy of Allah, the Abyssinian Wanag Sagad, screamed out to his army to charge. They charged the Muslim right as one man, but the Muslims held firm against them. Then in the same way, the right wing of the infidels charged the left wing of the Muslims, made up of the Somali tribes, while the tribes of Tigray and the depraved patricians charged the center where the Imam Ahmad, may Allah have mercy upon him, was. The Imam and his soldiers confronted them with Islamic hearts. Army fused with army, swords were unsheathed, spear tips were aimed, emblems and banners were unfurled, flags fluttered, horses neighed, vast clouds of dust billowed up, and sweat poured from the breasts of the soldiers on account of the weight of the armor. Nothing could be heard from armies but the battle cries of soldiers and the neighing of the horses at the blows of the swords hitting the hide-covered shields and the iron helmets shaped like ostrich eggs. The crier proclaimed, "O people of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, be a little patient and you will obtain much here in the black-eyed Huri in the shade of the swords and at the tip of the spear." The Imam Ahmad bin Ibrahim, may Allah have mercy upon him, and those with him held their ground. Then in the midst of the battle, he burst forth against the infidels, wiping them out successfully. Above his head, the banner of victory streamed. As for what happened to the Somalis on the left wing, when the fighting became unbearable, they took to flight with the infidels in pursuit and were killed by them in a devastating slaughter. Some of them were captured, but 3,000 of them died. Their chieftains, however, stood firm. Salem bin Uthman, the Somali brother-in-law of the Imam Ahmad, may Allah have mercy upon him, fought a fine jihad. Their achievements this day truly are Allah's doing. When the flight of their companions were revealed, they returned to the side of Imam Ahmad, may Allah have mercy upon him, and in his presence fought a bloody fight. For what happened to those from the people of Harla who were holding the Muslim right wing, the first, second and third ranks of the Abyssinians charged them, and the fighting between them revolved like a millstone with the men's heads being cut off. The Abyssinians committed more forces against the Muslims' right, but the Muslims endured with a remarkable endurance. Another squadron of cavalry attempted to dislodge them, and the infidels drove them towards the center near the Imam Ahmad. They fought there a terrible battle. To Allah alone is due the success of the army of Bahr. Among the Muslim infantry they fought amongst the cavalry. The battle intensified until the dust clouds grew so dense that none of the Muslims could recognize his companion, and none of the infidels could recognize his companion, nor could brother see brother. The fighting went on between the various parties until the Abyssinians were pushed back into those who were following them, and thousands of them perished, with the ground being covered with the bodies of those who died. The number of wounded on both sides grew, but they were higher for the Abyssinians. The fighting between them went on from the forenoon until the time of the last of the afternoon prayers. The Muslims were loud in proclaiming, "There is no God but Allah, and Allah is the greatest," praying for Muhammad, the herald who announced the good news. God gave them victory and struck terror into the hearts of the infidels, who turned tail, with the Muslims in pursuit, capturing and killing them until darkness intervened. How many thousands of infidels were killed, Allah knows alone. Many of the patricians were killed, amongst them the patrician Robel from the patricianate of Tigre. Also killed was Mikail, a younger brother of Robel, powerfully intrepid and intractable. He was killed by the Imam Ahmad himself, who struck him with his spear, and his tip emerged from his back, glistening. One of the Muslims named Uthman, a sheikh from the tribes of Gidaya, was riding his mule on this occasion and attacked a patrician named Jan Balo Ras, striking him on the back. The patrician was wearing protective armor, but the sword sliced through the armor and the coat of mail and cut him in half. The top half flew to the side while the other half remained on the horse and finally tumbled off. Among the leaders of the Muslims who were killed was Hamza al-Jufi, who died a martyr on this day. May Allah bless him and grant him salvation. Also killed was Jadid Kurju and the Muazzin of Garadaboon, Kabir Ibrahim, and the Quranic teacher Muhammad the preacher from Sim, Dalu of Bali, and Muhammad of Dawaro. 5,000 Muslims from the tribe of Somalis, Harla and Malasai and the desert Arabs were killed. God put a seal of martyrdom upon them, introducing them to the garden of delights bestowed upon them. In it, the garden of paradise, lasting blessings shall be theirs, abiding there forever. Surely Allah carries a mighty reward with Him. The Muslims collected booty of horses, swords, chainmail, and weapons of war, so numerous they captured one of the most distinguished patricians, Takla Madhen, the brother-in-law of the king, whom they took with them to their own country. He was ransomed for 500 ounces of red gold. Then the Imam turned around and returned to his city of Harar, happy, rejoicing, victorious, triumphant, wearing the victor's crown in the course of the month of Rajab in that year.